Oh, wait for everybody. Good morning. I'm Ellen O'Neill Waite, and I'm a member of this congregation, and I am co-leading the service this morning with Lee Bona, who is our worship leader, Henry Baldock, who is one of our returning college students as our musician, our broadcast technician, Avilo Buxton, and our head usher, Kate Sheehan. Here at First Unitarian, we strive in loving fellowship to honor the sacred, to connect with each other, and to serve justice. We are a welcoming congregation. Whatever your age, race, class, or nationality, you are welcome here. Single people, LGBTQ folks, families of all kinds, and those of all physical and mental abilities are welcome. And we are delighted to have everyone here with us today. If you are online, you can like this video. That will help others find us. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel to help more people find our content. And if you are in the Worcester area, we do invite you to join us every Sunday morning here at 90 Main Street in Worcester at 10:30 a.m. for our regular worship service and fellowship. Our newsletter is the best way to stay in touch and join our other programs. If you would like to receive the newsletter, please go to firstunitarian.com and click on subscribe to our newsletter on any page. If you are here in the sanctuary this morning, you can visit the welcome table and sign up there to receive the newsletter. You can also sign up for a name tag and meet with one of our friendly volunteers who will offer you a welcome bag of information about us and our programs and other goodies. Following our worship service today, we have fellowship in the church parlor, and all are welcome. And last but not least, you will find a calendar of events and announcements in your order of service. I would like to draw your attention to the wonderful caring cart that has been brought into the Bancroft Hall so that you can see what it looks like. This will be available every Monday night for the Heartwood Clinic. We invite physical contributions to it, things that people need every day, diapers, socks, toothpaste, soap, anything that you can think of. And as school is coming, things for children as they start school. Those physical things can be stored, just put in the cart, and then they are available every Monday night to the people who come to Heartwood. You also will always have an opportunity to make a contribution of money. There are forms in a basket just in front of the cart, and please pay attention to that. Thank you.
Good morning. Both Ellen and I have to use the step up. If we didn't, you'd all be saying, look how expressive their eyebrows are. This is the day your Lord has made.
Let us rejoice and be glad in it.
We bid you welcome, who come with hope in your heart, who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous. We bid you welcome, who are seekers of a new faith, who come to probe and explore, who come to learn. We have found here room for your spirit. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your personal journey, we bid you welcome. Now please join me in our opening hymn, number 404, great hymnal, What Gifts Can We Bring? Ellen will light the chalice this morning.
We like this chalice. Let me begin again so we can take it in. We light this chalice as a symbol of attracting every voice to the table in our pursuit of unity and a shared journey towards spiritual growth. May it ever be so.
Please rise to renew our covenant as printed in your order of service, and you can find it on the screen. In the love of truth and in the spirit of peace, we unite in the worship of God and the service of all. Please be seated. And for our common prayer, we're going to use number 549, and it's a call and response. A hymn to matter. Blessed be you, harsh matter, barren soil, stubborn rock, you who yield only to violence, you who force us to work if we would eat. Blessed be you, perilous matter, violent sea, untamable passion, you who, unless we fed of you, will devour us. Blessed be you, mighty matter, irresistible march of evolution, reality ever newborn. You who, by constantly shattering our mental categories, force us to go further and further in our pursuit of truth. Blessed be you, universal matter, unmeasurable time, boundless ether, triple abyss of stars and atoms and generations. You who, by overflowing and dissolving our narrow standards of measurement, reveal to us the dimensions of God.
In our sacred time together, we share the joys and sorrows of our church with one another. One among us has written, "Please pray for my son Jackson, who is sick." Another offers, "Please pray that we can support a growing movement to refund USAID, our nation's best representation to the world." And I offer a prayer of celebration for my grandson, Bannock August Ewart O'Neill Smith, who just celebrated his 25th birthday. Please join me in a few moments of silence as we hold these prayers and our own prayers that are unspoken in our hearts. Our ministries here at First Unitarian Church continue to thrive because of your support. Your offering makes a difference here and in our community, and I invite your generous contributions for the good work of our church. If you're worshiping online, you can scan the QR code on your screen, or you can go to firstunitarian.com and click Give Online on the top of any page. The ushers will now receive this morning's offerings.
Our first reading this morning is from a book that I truly love. It's called The Religion of Man by Rabindranath Tagore. It's a hard book to read in that he weaves in and out of poetry and prose, and it's like I have to read everything 3 times to get it. But very, very interesting. And chapter 12 deals with the creative spirit. He starts off the chapter telling a story about visiting good friends of his who happen to have a daughter who's about 8 years old. And the child is very precocious and loves doing things. So she decides and tells the grown-ups that she's going to make a play and they're going to act in it. And Rabindranath was given the role of the hero in the story. It was all improvised. And so he writes about it. The plot of this imaginary story was very simple. She imagined I was stuck in a room, locked from the outside. And she asked me, "What will you do for your freedom?" And I answered, "Well, I will shout for help, of course." But however desirable that end might be, if it succeeded, it would be unfortunate for the story because she didn't want me to have the occasion to shout for help. Thus, in her imagination, she set about clearing the whole neighborhood of all kinds of help that my cries might reach. I was compelled to think of some other means of escape, so I suggested kicking through the door. But of course, the door then became made of steel, and that was impossible. I found a key and told her I had a key, but of course it would not fit. And the child was just delighted at the development of the story featuring me jumping over obstructions. Then he continued, life's story of evolution, the main subject of which is the opening of doors. And it seems to develop in the same manner as the story. For every form of life, starting with the first single-cell organism, difficulties were created by the Spirit of life, or they arose, and at each offer of an answer, the Spirit of life story had to discover further obstacles in order to carry on the adventure of living. For to come to an absolutely satisfactory conclusion is to come to the end of all things. Instead of allowing a full paradise of perfection to continue its tame and timid rule of faultless regularity, the Spirit of life, which is internal to all living beings, in her human form, boldly declared herself for a further freedom and decided to eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. She took a bold step in throwing open her gates to a dangerously explosive factor, the element of mind. And like Eve of the Semitic mythology, the Spirit of life in us risked the happiness of her placid seclusion to win her freedom. Our second reading was written by Reverend Birch Q, who is the UU minister of a small congregation on the outskirts of Toronto, Canada. Take this as an invitation to imagine how wide this world can be, to face the closing doors before us, and move toward the opening windows in our lives. Take this as an invitation to remember a critical truth, that none of us have it all figured out, that we help one another grow and change, that we travel together. Take this as an invitation to cross thresholds of challenge, not on our own, not for ourselves alone, but side by side, spirits rising and expanding together. Most of you probably read the sermon blurb I wrote for the newsletter. For those who did not or could not, I'll give you a short recap. Here it is in one sentence. Life's story is one of evolve or die. By evolve, I mean to change over time. And there's no doubt about it in my mind. From day one, 3.5 billion years ago to us today, life has had to engage with difficulties, obstacles, and new experiences in order to continue to thrive. Cells were constantly bombarded with chemicals, environmental factors, energy surges, and sometimes that killed them. But then sometimes it caused a beneficial change that eventually evolved and allowed new life forms to appear. Setbacks were never an end to the Spirit of life journeys. They were a part of the journey, shaping growth and development. Somewhere around 2 million years ago, life evolved the first rudimentary form of consciousness and self-awareness. Onward it went. More evolutionary changes, blah, 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 and here we are. Over so many millennia, the Spirit of life has to have been on an adventurer's path, constantly adapting over time. Goal only of going further on the path, not of getting to any endpoint. Never deciding it had evolved enough. Working through what happened, figuring out what worked and didn't work, and seeing a setback as feedback, not as a failure. Made changes in behaviors, but always was moving forward. So anyhow, you might be wondering why I'm talking about all that and what did it have to do with me as a member of a community that's on a spiritual journey. Because I believe that there's such parallels that the spiritual and the adventurous journey need each other. I was finding myself on an adventurous path anyway and deepening my own spirituality. So after realizing that, I decided I'd intentionally ponder it some. And I started reading more and paying more attention to a pretty simple model for reflection that I use, and also doing some regular sharing with a few others who were interested in the same ideas. And for myself, I came to define adventuring as I was experiencing it. An adventurous path is one that supports an evolutionary journey, because evolution is basically adaptation over time, and adventuring creates the ingredients that adaptation needs to work. In other words, the adventurous path is a lived model of evolution. What it means is that you go into it to explore, and that develops courage and questioning on your part. You go into it to test boundaries, and then select what works and doesn't work in your life, what's leading to progress, what's holding you back. This retention, learning from experience, and carrying the lessons forward. Lessons are learned when you ponder your experiences. An experience is not the lesson, it's just the experience. And if we don't think about it and learn something from it, that's a different thing. But I digress. And anyway, then we go into repeating. Your aim, always wisdom, and change over time so that you continue to grow and thrive. So capacity and choices evolve together. And then some of the things that I had to work through. First of all, adventuring does not happen when somebody hands you a map. There is no map. No map, only your personal journey. It begins with a decision and maybe a little push from somebody. But my decision to let the world be bigger than my usual routines, my usual vision. That was my decision. Secondly, adventure travel is the kind that transforms you by pushing you outside your usual comfort zone. But you will realize, not to panic, you will realize on the journey that an expansion of struggles results in you unburying gifts that you didn't even realize you had. Third, exploration takes place, or should. You shouldn't have maps. It asks you to leave behind all the answers you've become comfortable with, and to believe you've got more to learn. Asking questions is a necessity. In Unitarian Universalist spirituality, the freedom and ability to ask questions are important because our tradition treats spiritual growth as something you do with an open mind, open heart, and open hands, not something you inherit ready-made. You have to be active in that journey. Why are questions important? Because, for me, helps me keep checking what I think and why I think it. So I'm making meaning instead of just adopting beliefs. And when I'm free to ask, I'm less likely to accept ideas just because they're traditional or simple or easy or demanded by authority. So questions protect my integrity. Everyone's path is different. Ideally, UU communities include people with many backgrounds, religious and non-religious. Encouraging questions creates space for a different starting point when we meet, and different means of making meaning. Everyone's path is different. Community is built through dialogue, at least for me. The ability to ask questions is what makes that dialogue real rather than performative. And it keeps me from hiding behind certitude. Spiritual practice includes the interactive stuff, and questions aren't seen as a failure in that interaction. They're often seen as the doorway to growth, so they're important to me. Exploration then asks that you leave behind all the answers, that you adopt a profile that attracts people to discuss questions with you. Certitude is poison. Certitude interferes with your ability to listen. Certitude makes it generally impossible that you're not going to hear very well what someone else is saying. And being open to accepting new ideas and viewpoints, or even to accepting different people. It's important for me in my journeys that the point isn't a destination. I don't like to hop from goal to goal, because then I start focusing on the goals. The point is the transformation that happens in me through the journey, and that challenges us. Discovering what you can handle, what you care about, and what kind of person you become when you keep moving spiritually. And finally, I would say the adventurous path can be directed towards service, which is a big UU orientation. The growth that matters is not only internal confidence, but it's also an expanding capacity to understand others, to act justly, and to contribute to community. All in all, we grow in ways that support compassion, justice, and fuller participation in the world. All UU values. Right about now, you might be asking yourself, why should we get involved in this whole spiritual journey thing? What's so wrong about having a blueprint? If it's a good blueprint, I can be comfortable with it, settle into it, try to live each day that way. Because inertia can kill. Because we run the risk of treating our spiritual lives like an idea when it's supposed to be like a path that you walk. Because by claiming that what you know is all the truth you need to know, leaves no room for others' experience or input. When we're not open to ambiguity and different ways of looking at things, we risk becoming passive and unmoving rather than being out exploring. Because if you're on a spiritual journey, asking questions is not only permitted, it's necessary. Because it would prevent us from examining ourselves critically and learning from other people and faith traditions. The Unitarian Universalist model of being and becoming tells us that freedom, reason, and tolerance are the three principles upon which it rests. The idea of being an explorer actually fits very well with Unitarian Universalism. UU emphasizes that people and societies can grow through reason, experience, and spiritual practice. I think that agrees pretty naturally with the idea that we become more capable, more ethical, and more connected over time in our community. Adventuring, I've learned, isn't self-improvement at any cost. And I need to keep focus on expanding my capacity to care for others, because it harmonizes with UU justice and the inherent worth of every person. And the UUs encourage learning from many sources: science, lived experience, earth-centered spiritualities, and many religious traditions. It's not just about interchange, though. It's about how growth leads to action. Community action, solidarity with others, ethical action, and responsibility. That keeps the adventurer in me from becoming selfish or reckless, which I could tend to. It just seemed to fit easily into the idea of an evolutionary journey. Evolution is adaptation over time, be it by exploring new ways to connect with the world. When we embark on a journey, especially one that feels adventurous or uncertain, a sense of seeking guidance is only natural. We want to know we're heading in the right direction, and we need to help to stay on track. Now, for that, I can say a couple of things. One, we're very, very lucky in this faith community in that we've got at least a dozen programs that someone can attend to deepen their spiritual journey and become adventurous in it. And there are other ways outside. I happen to be using Consciousness Examined for close to 40 years now. You'd think I would get it right at this point, but you know, you keep plugging along, little wisdom at a time. By George Aschenbrenner. He was a Jesuit. He wrote it in 1972, which was the year after I went into the convent, so we actually had him for various visits. And anyway, the examination of conscience, what is it? I think for me, it's become fairly easy to use at this point. It's a daily exercise. Shouldn't take you more than 10 or 15 minutes. I can do it while driving. I can do it while vacuuming. I can do it while I'm sitting quietly. I can, you know, it's good. It's intended to help us recognize what Ignatius Loyola called motions of the soul, which are all those interior drives that we have, imaginings, fears, longings, anger, anything like that that drives us. And they trigger our choices and reaction during the day. These drives tend us either toward or away from a sense of unity, which is the spiritual call of our being. That core of unity can be seen as a sense of oneness with a sacred presence or simply with all creation. Our deepest longing is for the experience of unity and the resultant fruits of unity, because at our most fundamental, organic level, we are already one with creation. The consequence of disengaging from the pursuit of unity, from allowing ourselves to disconnect from unity, is that all creation experiences dis-ease. Exercises has us look back at our daily actions and quietly reflect on them. Always, always, always in the context of gift, never as guilt. This is not the examination of conscience that some of us learned to do before confession when we were 7 years old. And I went to a reunion 4 or 5 years ago, and all 20 people there that I was in Catholic school with said the same sins to the priest for First Communion. Disobeyed our mother and father 10 times, fought with my brothers and sisters 5 times, and, you know. Anyway, this is not an examination of conscience. In an examination of consciousness, it asked me to look at what was happening in me today and how did I respond to it. Any sense of sinfulness or sorrow or regret has to end in thankfulness, hope, and desire. We become ever more aware of and sensitive to our actions, and that's what changes us. Where they come from, where they lead us. Our actions should always be leading us away from self-absorption into cultivating a heart that desires and pursues relationships rather than divisiveness. Unity as a part of community. When I look back at what was happening in me and how I responded, it keeps what might be unconscious drives in my consciousness, so I'm aware of them next time I'm interacting with somebody on the same level. The mindfulness makes it possible for me to make better choices, that's all. Typically, you take a moment to settle, take a deep breath, get comfortable, and go through some questions. But really, it's all about recognizing what was happening in me today and how I responded and keeping that information conscious. It's a process, not preoccupation. In meditation, you might find yourself resisting the practice, but then take a break, you know, breath work, whatever. Explore resistance, be curious about the inner tensions that might arise. It's just between you and whatever spirit you're talking to, so nobody's going to know. Acknowledge and explore. It's all part of the practice and process. Don't worry too much about to whom you are addressing this prayer. We're trying to create new brain patterns. That's what it's all about, new life patterns. We're cultivating a growth mindset, one that is open to learning and personal development. An aim of the program is to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and to view failures as learning experiences and to acknowledge your strengths while working on your weaknesses. So it does fit for the whole journey thing and the you thing. And then we celebrate progress rather than perfection. Would I recommend all this to you? Yes, I would. Taken together, the adventurous path / evolutionary journey, the you-aligned transformations, the growth in activating my spirituality through consciousness examined, it all tells a coherent story. I travel not to escape difficulty, but to let difficulty teach me. Not to focus on perfection, because no one is, but to focus on cultivating some wisdom and the ability to adapt. Not to grow for my own sake alone, but to grow in ways that support compassion and justice. To expand my capacity to understand others, and to even enlarge the circle of people whom I see and treat as brothers and sisters. So, yes, I would support you in trying any program. And yes, I remind you that we've got at least 6 or 8 of them already alive and well in this faith community. Join one. It's not that it just can't hurt. It can be very, very beneficial. Thank you. And please stand and join in the last hymn, number 145, as Tranquil Streams. Fellow adventurers, in the process of understanding our power and our purpose, may we remember to make space for our questions and our doubts and for the process of molding soft clay of our lives. May we never forget to share our questions and our wonderings, because those ponderings can be gifts to each other as we evolve the future. Most of all, go in peace, the peace of knowing you're not on this journey alone. Amen. Please sit for the postlude.